Welcome everyone to our panel discussion on refining digital infrastructure to support innovative learning. I would like to welcome our moderator for the session, Mr. Suchindra Kumar, Associate Partner, Consulting, EY LLP. And now introducing our panelists for the session, we have with us Dr. Ajit K. Nagpal, Chairman, Amity Pacific Forum, Ms. Ankita Tandon, VP and Head of Business, Unacademy, Mr. Venkat Sitaram, General Manager and Geo Head, South India Corporate Business, Dell Technologies, and Mr. Sunil Khosla, Chief Marketing Officer, AGS Transact, and President, Digital Business, India Transact Services. I would request all the delegates to keep posting your questions in the chat box, and our panel will address a selected few at the end of the session. Over to you, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, and welcome to all the participants on my esteemed panel, as well as the audiences from all over the country and potentially abroad as well. So great to be hosting a panel with such a varied experience of people. India, thanks to the COVID, we were taking nice baby steps into moving into a digital learning system. Thanks to COVID, we literally boomeranged into, we zoomed in like there was no tomorrow. We have a system where almost 150 million people moved online. Those are the numbers. So we work with a product called Diksha, for example, and we realized a lot of students were moving on for the first time in their lives. They've never used mobile phone for education. Most of them use mobile phone potentially for entertainment. A lot of students in the primary classes never used a mobile phone. Right. In a country which has a lot of asymmetries in terms of mobile densities, the speeds of internet, even mobile devices. And we've done a few surveys. There have been a lot of public surveys which are available, which talk about a lot of issues with the digital learning. So we have a situation where almost 75% of our students, 79% actually, use mobile phones to study, because that's the only device which is available. And a lot of those students have been reporting that they can't even see the whiteboard or a blackboard or whatever's been written. It's a challenge. There are teachers who are using all sorts of jugaad in an Indian parlance to ensure that they could teach from home. Only 17% students have laptops. In a lot of cases, we've had situations where you have one device at home with 2 or 3 different students. So students are, they literally have a choice or a rotating class every week. So one kid joins the class on day 1, another one on day 2. There have been cases where even if you have devices, and this is something we've heard from a lot of students in Mumbai, where they have not been able to attend classes because they're living in a small house and there's no way that they could use 3 devices in the same room with their parents working, so on and so forth. So are we really that prepared? Something which is purely a automation of teaching than a thought out strategy of how we could make it more robust. And on the other hand, if you think of it, India, in their traditional brick and mortar learning, we had a lot of ills facing our system. Students did not have access to schools. The schools were not all weather in certain cases. The quality of teachers varied drastically, or you did not have teachers at schools. There were no proper content available. Textbooks used to reach students very late. So if you really think, education could actually help you overcome challenges. So that's really, my question to the esteemed panel here. That's just a initial thoughts, and I would want to hear from all of you, your experiences coming from different parts of the world. So let me start with Dr. Ajit Nagpal, who's the chairman of Amity board. So sir, you are one of the pioneers, one of the largest brick and mortar education providers. What has been your transition experience been, and what are some of the things that you've tried? Whether it is in terms of reaching out to students or empowering your teachers, empowering the systems, that you could probably share with our audiences.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm thankful to IAMAI for the invitation to participate in this EduTech Summit 2020. Can I be seen? Am I seen? Yes, all right. So my topic that was given to me was readiness of the faculty and the digital infrastructure from the Amity perspective, and what's the experience with non-metro cities learners. These are the 2 very significant issues that we are facing today. And I'll share my perspective of Amity Education Group. regarding the standards of the faculty and the digital infrastructure to address the priorities of the students for online education and e-learning during the COVID period. Now, Ritnan Balved Education Foundation, the umbrella organization of Amity University, was founded in late 80s and early 90s by its founder, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, a highly progressive and successful industrialist from the United Germany, who returned to India with a mission to nation building through education and beyond, and invested all his assets in the foundation to spearhead this highly progressive outcome that we see today with Amity University in 11 states of the Indian Union, established under the Act of Legislation by respective states, 25 K-12 schools, and international campuses in 15 countries for the developed and developing worlds. Regarding the readiness of Amity Education Group to face the challenge of the lockdown due to the pandemic, many unforeseen situations cropped up to strengthen the digital and online education infrastructure and training of the faculty, the academic, and priorities of close to 175 lakh students spread across the country and abroad. In this endeavor, it was observed that the needs and priorities of the students living in remote areas and non-metro cities facing the challenges of poor connectivity and lack of access to smart gadgets was a serious and trying consideration to reach out to them. Teachers were also facing several challenges in the online mode of learning while trying to find solutions and learning the skills to perform. Now, the biggest challenge was of low bandwidth, due to which the higher education institutions faced complaints from their students for not being able to download files or be able to continue the classes flawlessly. Now, to address such problems, Amity University took the following initiatives. Amity University Online has learners from different geographies and backgrounds learning on its platform. There are a large number of students who come from non-metro towns and use the opportunity to enhance their skills and knowledge online. In this endeavor, neither the faculty nor the students faced any challenges, since the content was contextualized to ensure better learning and assimilation. To encounter the issues of bandwidth, the content was also made available in less resolution so that the slower internet connectivity did not pose a challenge for the learners. More so, additionally, since students could also access the content in an anywhere, anytime environment, they had the option to use their devices to view content in non-peak hours when internet connectivity was better. The faculty was also required to be trained for imparting online education. Towards this end, Amity University took initiatives for faculty preparation as number one. For faculty preparation, Amity University Online took the lead and conducted the trainers program to prepare the faculty to teach on online mode. In these sessions, both behavioral as well as technical aspects of teaching were addressed. Tools which needed to be used, recording, editing, conferencing, were also explained to ensure ease of using them. In addition, the course contents were also enriched and developed to incorporate newer concepts and greater understanding for the students. The transition for the faculty was also smooth, as Amity University was prepared for the change with its background in terms of delivering online programs globally, which helped them to understand the digital learning process in a more comprehensive manner. In addition, innovation in online education was introduced as a Think Talk, an initiative to bring real-life learning into classrooms to understand concepts in the practical manner, where industry stalwarts discuss relevant and contemporary issues in a roundtable format to break down complex issues and provide practical insights to learners. I'll conclude by thanking IAMAI for the opportunity, with the hope that I have not exceeded the time limit set for me. Thank you. Hello.
Yep. Great. Great. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Dr. Nagpal. I think you did give us a fairly good ringside view of what Amity did. So moving over to Ankita, you come from a institution which is digital first. So you really planned delivering education in a digital manner, unlike a brick and mortar school. So, what has been your experience? Because since you sit on a humongous amount of data, is there really a disparity among types of learners, whether it's urban or rural, or people learning, first-time learners versus somebody who's much more digitally literate? How does Unacademy, for example, create a program which is been able to deliver across the board to all these people and give them the right set of outcomes? How do you work across the divide?
Got it. Thanks, Suchindra. First of all, thank you, IAMI. It's an honor and privilege to be here with this esteemed panel. And so before I get into answering the specific question that Suchindra just asked me, I think I'll spend a moment to just give, a brief history about Unacademy and how it came about. And I think that will sort of help set the context and for me to answer the question that you posed. So our founder Gaurav wanted to give the JEE exam, and when he was younger, and he like most Indian kids went off to Kota to to try and get in, and a lot of people don't know this, but to get into the top institutes in Kota, you have to give an entrance exam which decides which class you get into, and therefore with access to which teacher you get. So right from the start, so there's an entrance exam for an entrance exam, if that makes sense. So the best students always have access to the best teachers, and the weaker students who would need access to the best teacher. And also you have to go and have to relocate to these these education towns, and have to spend a lot of money on boarding and lodging. So that was one incident. And then a few years later, when he was studying in college, his friends asked him to explain some concept to them a couple of days before the exam, and it was Bombay and it was raining, and so to avoid commuting, what he did, he just picked up his phone, recorded a YouTube video of himself explaining the concept, put it up on YouTube, and shared the link with his friends. And then he forgot about it. And just a couple of months later, he went back onto that video, and he saw there were close to 10,000 views on that video. I think therein it stood out to him, and this was about 10 years ago, that there is a demand for content. Our country is content hungry, and we like to consume content. And it's not only entertainment content; it is content of all types. So Unacademy actually ran as a YouTube channel for about 5 or 7 years before we actually started, we converted into a company which prepares students for test prep and now K-12. So that's the history. So of the org, and that's why we are always content first. Now, what allows digital education to succeed, or what are the enablers? So I call it the Holy Trinity. So there are three things that are absolutely essential for EdTech to succeed, or digital education to succeed. One is, like Dr. Nagpal pointed out, bandwidth. I think Jio came in and solved the bandwidth issue, a couple of years ago. The second is access to, smartphones or devices, which you also pointed out that many people don't have access to laptops, and that is true. But India is the fastest growing smartphone country in the world, and every year technology keeps improving, and the processing power of these small devices is getting better and better. Every year this will improve. And the third thing is access to capital, financing options for people in marginalized or lower income households, to enable them to actually go and appear for or take up digital courses. So these three things, I think, have sort of started coming together over the last few years, which has allowed digital education to really become as powerful and successful as it is today. And I think we also contribute to Diksha a lot, and we are seeing the usage and the consumption of this content going through the roof. So being a digital first player, we design our delivery and our content in a way that it is more suitable for mobile phone viewing. Yes, you rightly pointed out, close to 75-80% of our consumption comes from smartphones. And now, to answer your specific question, is there a difference? Do we see a perceptible difference in the behavior of rural and urban students or learners? Actually, I think learners across the board. I think platforms like YouTube and TikTok are enabled, it trained our youth to consume content online. So really, we haven't seen any issues with accepting content or difficulty with content. I think what we did do, however, is contextualize content so that it is much easier for them to consume and therefore relate with. So we have we have, I think, close to 15 regional languages in which we provide content. We get educators from specific states to cater to audiences of that particular demographic and ethnicity. So I think it's contextualization is something that we've done really well, which enables us to really bring people onto the platform and truly democratize education. So what we really solved for is, what we felt was that our country doesn't lack talent, we simply lack opportunity. People don't get access to the best quality educators. So we said, can we remove that friction? Technology today will allow us to reach the remotest corner of the country and really be the best teacher in the world, to talk to learners in different parts of the country. So I think that's something that we've really solved for. So I'll put some stats out there for you. What this pandemic did, however, was, I think, made everybody get over that initial hump or hesitation of can I study online. I think it forced everyone to that, and I think since then uh, we are clocking 2 billion watch time minutes a month. We have 18,000 educators registered on our platform. We have 30 million learners on our platform. We conduct 20,000 free classes every month on our platform for people from lower income families to study from. And it's really heartening, and it's fantastic for us to see that we're really able to give everyone who has a desire to move forward in life and to crack an exam access to the right quality education. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Ankita. I think that was really insightful. So now that we've heard from a brick and mortar provider and a digital provider, the next missing link in this entire exercise, which enables it, is technology. So over to you, Venkat. You're from Dell. How have you seen the digital divide being overcome in some of the other geographies, or if you have any views from India? And what is it that technology could potentially provide innovatively to really solve for this challenge?
Hey, Suchindra, that's a wonderful question. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope I'm audible. Okay, before I give my perspective on the digital divide and what Dell is doing, I want to first say this. Hope everybody in this webinar is doing safe and fine. Now getting straight to Suchindra, your point, I think you made a fantastic point about the digital divide. And today, in the context of a lot of work is getting done from home and school is happening from home, one thing is very clear: a lot of content that is available, and the power of internet is there for it to be accessed anywhere. I think Ankita spoke about it, and Mr. Ajit very clearly outlined what Amity has done in terms of enabling content access. Very clear there. With this amount of content that is there for people to consume, for students or teachers to consume, they also need to create content. One is consuming content, the other is to creating content. Both are equally important. Now, for a digital transformation to accelerate for the continuity of education, one thing that we believe is three things or three stakeholders have to come together. This is the student persona. We call it persona, right? Student persona, number one. Second is the faculty persona. And third, of course, the institution itself. All the three have to come together, and all three are critical stakeholders in this. Dell looks at all the three personas very seriously, and specifically for education institutions, our engineering team brings constantly new innovative features. Just call out a few. When you look at a student persona, it's not just about accessing and creating content only, but there are things like even the safety and security of the device, right? The device that the student uses. Um, Content can be accessed from any device, but you have to create a content, then you need a specialized keyboard, there's a specialized form factors and things like that becomes very, very important considerations. And then the content itself should be such that it is safe and secure. The device itself should be safe, meeting the safety standards, looking at the hinges, because the way student operates versus the way we operate will be very, very different, right? Now, all these parameters comes as a very, very unique design point in the form factors that we create. So we bring in these kind of features. I'm not going to go into detail, but at a high level, easy, safe, secure, and very, very rich in terms of configuration is something that we keep building for student persona. Now, looking at changing this gear to faculty, of course, the first thing about the student persona exactly is needed for the faculties also, because device again plays a critical role there, right? We've added further. We've added something like stylus and things like that. What does that do is for the teacher to use the whole device as a whiteboard and start doing whiteboard sessions by it's an active pen. You can start writing there, and the student can also do an interactive session. It's not always that you're only running some visuals and some live live streaming audio video content, but you're also doing some whiteboarding session and inculcate a personalized kind of a touch and learning. So that's super critical, and technology is enabling that. That's bridging that divide that we talked about. Lastly, the institution itself, and that's where the labs persona come into picture. I think today the national education policy clearly outlines the need for bringing in technology in early education itself. Now, things like coding, robotics are to be started or commenced from middle school, and I'm sure that is going to drive the way how technology learning in institutions are to be inculcated. To shift the gears to the higher education, I think the need for all new age technologies like AI, cyber security, call it hybrid cloud, these things are also becoming critical. So when you inculcate all of this as part of an academic curriculum, the output that you are generating is industry ready. And that's what today is going to create future employment opportunities in the market. And India is considered as number one in terms of that supply chain. And I think we are amongst the top two education systems in the world, no doubt about it. Now, looking at that lab persona, we look at three facets there. The edge, I talked about the device that is needed and the accessories that are needed and the safety security standards. Moving that to core, which is when you give this, your network is expanding, your bandwidth is kind of exploding. So you need to support that as well. You need to supply content at a speed at which the resources are requiring. So it needs again your backend storage systems, and you got to protect the data when the data is moving. And when the data is created, it also needs prevention of loss and so on and so forth, right? We kind of bring in the entire spectrum there, and that is how I think we kind of foster an academic institution or an edtech institution to move into this journey much rapidly by allowing them to have access across edge, core, and of course the cloud. Wherever the device in wherever the content in whichever cloud it is, it should be easily accessible anytime, right? So we present a layer that will allow anywhere, anytime, real access. I think this is something that we bring in for education institutions. Not many today are aware that Dell is doing a lot of work. This aside, what I did was I talked about the portfolio and what we are doing specific to education. I just wanted to say that Dell also does a lot of work in terms of student empowerment. We are also doing a lot of work around teachers empowerment and teachers training. This is in partnership with the Government of India, Niti Aayog. We've done it in a large scale. So far till date, we have almost trained close to 300,000 teachers in terms of student empowerment by Dell staff being mentors to the student We've covered close to about 120,000 students, and the program is on for the last 3 years, and it is only expanding. So there's a lot of work that we contribute to the whole overall ecosystem in helping, bridging this digital divide and enabling the children and the faculty for the needs of the future, right? Inculcating, or I would say harnessing the 21st century skills that are required. So we play a lot of role in the skills enablement as well. Hope that gives a comprehensive view of.
Yes, that's wonderful, Venkat. Kind of going through and essentially developing the entire ecosystem, which is really the need of the hour. Technology, faculty, students, they really need to go hand in hand. So moving on to a very different perspective, Sunil, you come from a fintech background, and finance has really been one of the India's success stories of moving down right to the bottom of the pyramid. Amazing innovations have been happening in fintech, whether it's UPI, whether it is, digital money, the wallets, you used very different models of reaching out to people, which is banking correspondence, kiosks and things. And EGS is right at the forefront of it. I understand you also work with a lot of schools. So what is the kind of work or what is the kind of innovations that you see? Is there something to learn from fintech or something similar, which could be built to, make more mainstream education when it comes to digital delivery?
Okay, Suchindra, am I audible? Yeah. So firstly, thanks to IMI and hello to all the panelists, plus hello to all the audience. Let me start with acknowledging that I'm a good customer for all of them. So we had during my ITC days, we did some good engagement with Amity. With Ankita or Unacademy, I think one of my daughters is very soon getting enrolled for one of the programs. And currently, a good thing for Venkat is I'm using a Dell laptop. So I think I'm engaged to all three of you already. And what you would not know is that all of you are being engaging with our company because we play a backend role. So in AGS Transact technology, let it be the ATMs that we have pan India, the cash that we disperse, the digital payment that we have, our petroleum sector, transit sector. So you guys would also be touching life in AGS. Myself, Sunil Khosla, I head the marketing for AGS Group. I also head the digital payment business for a subsidiary called India Transact. But the most important one is that I had a project called Horizon, which is about innovation and change. And that is where probably I think I can contribute a little bit in terms of what the topic is all about. In Horizon, we have got four main topics: Connect, Immersion, Hackathon, and Accelerator. In Connect, we've been working with the 50 to 100 top campuses pan India, but of course, that is pre-COVID also. I think what is happening is now what we are also trying to do is expand fintech from fintech to edtech, and I'll be happy to contribute there. One thing that we've seen, and I think this we've seen from 2016, is that a big external disruption gives birth to a very, very big internal transformation. That is what happened to the digital payment industry in 2016 when D1 happened on 8th November 2016. And I think that is what will happen to probably the edtech sector in India and maybe abroad. I don't know whether this data is known to all or not, but there are 860 million students across the globe who are not being able to access education the way they were accessing it earlier on. But another important fact is, and good for India, is that edtech as a sector, or edutech as a sector, is getting the maximum funding or maximum money. And I think that sector has been benefiting a lot post-COVID, and they're seeing the real hockey stick curve. And it's no more a phenomenon for the top 25 cities, it's going down everywhere. I think what we need, plus one important thing, though it is not linked to innovation, is though we are trying to do something there, is that now what has happened is whatever Unacademy is doing or Baiju is doing or even White Hat is doing, I think it is equal for all students. Let it be urban or rural if we forget the bandwidth issue. Most importantly, differently able kids, I think they would benefit a lot. I'm in my personal capacity, I'm doing a project called Shining Star, which is with the differently able and underprivileged. What we can clearly see is now, especially in India, where probably those kind of kids have not got equal opportunity when it was a brick and mortar store. I think with this digital revolution, they will benefit the most, apart from all the other students. Now, in terms of innovation, I think, let me start with payments only. We are working with a lot of good education institutes pan India, pre-COVID also and now also, in terms of, firstly, the very, very basics in terms of streamlining the fee collection. It could be a remote fee collection, it could be a push-based fee collection, an EMI-based fee collection, or different ways. Then what also is happening is that a lot of people want payments inside gamification or inside any services. So if a school is doing probably a small event online and they want money to be collected, how do they integrate that piece in their app or in the website? I think those are the very, very simple ones. Then pay later, pay now. I think what is happening is, let me come back to what the way Demon happened and how would infrastructure improve in the same way. The biggest thing what Venkat also spoke about is the government sector. I think we have to start our infrastructure development right for government. I'm not the right one to debate whether NEP is excellent, good, or average, but I think any initiative taken towards the betterment of the education sector would benefit all of us, including our kids. So it should start from there. And I think the one thing that I can vouch for is that innovation concept is very, very talked about in the government sector, earlier for fintech and now for edutech as well. That's already happening. I'm part of a lot of bodies where this is being discussed. IMI is one of them where they're doing a lot of initiative. Second is the education bodies. I think the way IMI is doing a lot of stuff for probably payment sector, there are bodies who should do more and more about the education sector. Third one is the institutes like Amity, the STEAM institutes. They need to now probably build infrastructure and the real logic around what do we do now, along with the teachers, of course. I think a lot of responsibility should be with the corporates and the sector which is investing into edutech. I think they should invest and probably be more robust with an open arm. Very, very big sector which Ankita talked about probably is the Bharat sector, where it should not be that we should keep on working only in urban. What we saw in the last 5 years when fintech started or the real digital boom started is that there was equal weightage given to the rural sector as well, which is Bharat. And I think that is what all the big companies, including Unacademy, Baidu, or anybody in the digital learning piece could think about, where distribution plays a very, very important role. I think we also understand the challenge of bandwidth. So when a payment sector can introduce an SMS-based payment, why can't the education sector introduce a SMS-based or a chat-based education module? And people are doing it across the globe. I believe there are people in India also trying to do that, where we know that students may not be having adequate data or the bandwidth. Can we have some module where it, of course, it's offline and an SMS-based module, so that this gap of 6 months, which seems to be now increasing to probably a year, how can we shorten that gap? I think that is very important. Last but the most important is, I think the kids and parents. I think this sector and any innovation should come from them. So though I don't know whether Ankita would like this or not, but yesterday my daughter did her first class for White Hat Junior. She was very, very happy. But more importantly, she had a lot of suggestion for the teacher who was teaching her. And now the point is, if those feedbacks are taken by the place like Unacademy or by you, that this is the real suggestion coming from a real user or the pain points, I think we could go for a long time. Now, I've also noted down few probably innovations that are happening or will happen is, I think in terms of SMS-based payment, I've already talked about. I think offline digital library is a very, very big thing that should happen where it is not dependent on data all the time. I think the TV channels, let it be Doordarshan, let it be cable or probably satellite, even radio, at least in the short term, till the time the brick and mortar store is back, would play an important role in terms of at least, and again, this is mainly coming for the rural sector in terms of imparting some things in terms of education so that continuity is there. I think Venkat or Mr. Nagpal spoke about AI-driven knowledge. I think this is more for urban. AI-driven knowledge and skill set development should be a key part, because that is how you will keep on improving the technology set. We have a lot of ATMs in urban and rural. We have our own brand called Ongo. We also have seen a lot of water ATM coming. This is a very, very unique thing that I would now make it as a use case. We are doing an innovation program with Amazon AWS. Can we have a study ATM? I can't elaborate much on this, probably maybe in some other forum, but can we have and of course, keeping in mind the social distance, other thing, can we have a center which is a very small center like an ATM kiosk where knowledge couldn't be imparted till the time we are not back to normal? I think a few companies are doing DIY kits for preschool students, because if you give a good, and I think corporate can come forward to do this. There are a lot of companies who could sponsor the DIY kits for the younger students, especially in rural. We need to really do some innovation around the teacher training piece. teachers are gods, but they have to be also now equipped to handle the new normal in a way so that they are also equipped. It's not easy for them. There are a lot of things said about what will happen to them, whether we are paying the right fee or not. I think they play a very, very important role in the society, but we should also, so anybody who's doing the tech innovation should also think about how do we train them better, how do we train them better in a remote manner. I think these are the few things that probably we would work on. Of course, all of them is not linked to fintech, combination of fintech and edutech, but I believe we have a program called Ongo Shiksha, which is currently meant for only MSMEs or micro merchants, which is equipped with our apps and the devices that we give. Now we are already thinking that that's mainly a training module for the merchants, but can we also use it for their family, probably for their kids, because those apps or devices are with them during the daytime and during the evening time. Can I increase the span from only a fintech based training program to a little bit in terms of a more moral education based program? That is one internal thing that we do. So I think these are the few things that probably as a fintech, because we want to stay to our core of payments and fintech, but still probably integrate or synergize edutech, and probably also work with universities like Amity or people like Unacademy. How can we have this synergy? Because the end goal for all of us is to bring more and more education to the Indian country, and India being the youngest country of the world, it will benefit the most. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Sunil. I think those are some very interesting innovations you spoke about. Yeah, please, Venkat.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Suchindra. I think, Sunil, you made a fantastic point about building a synergy. I think it's a great thought, and really appreciate the idea that you are talking about, setting up a study ATM. Yeah, that's easily accessible even in rural. I think the idea is brilliant. At Dell, we love ideas, and you'd really like to come and contribute. So I think we should have a continuum where we kind of Suchindra. I think we should build a continuum to see how we can take this idea and bring it something that can materialize as a concept and be made available for the country. So very keen to further discuss on this and next steps.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'll just like to add one more thing here that what we've done is that we have our own. There are a brown label ATMs which are meant for the banks, which we deploy. So we are the number one, number two player in the country right now with more than 72,000 ATMs. Then there's a white label ATM which is my own property, which I'm mainly distributing in rural areas. What we've already done is, and we are the first one to do that. We've got a you can say a TV inside an ATM or above an ATM where if we thought it will be meant for probably cross synergy, cross selling or marketing campaigns, the same one is already in place in terms of, and we also wanted to do social awareness for COVID, but that could easily be converted into education as well. And then we also are into signage business, and those things could be integrated, keeping in mind that social distancing is important. I'm happy to take this forward with you, probably offline. And,
sure. Sunil, I think this was a valuable input. What you're saying is there is infrastructure which is already available and which could be leveraged or cross-leveraged for multiple purposes, and I think that's the way to go. Anyway, just a small snippet here. You said you're already working with, you already given business to Unacademy, Amity, and Dell. I think as EY, we are always eager for business. So I'm just taking this opportunity to talk about that. But anyway,
we work with EY also.
Sure. That's just a sideline. So we've got a couple of questions from the audiences. In the interest of time, let's just move quickly to it. We have an audience asking, how does the yardstick of quality assurance in learning change with the switch to digital education? So anybody who will go for it? Ankita, Ajit?
I'll take that question. So I think it's a great question. I think I think some of the panelists pointed out that there is a sea change in the way a lecture or a class is delivered, in the difference in which it was delivered offline and to now delivering it online. So there is educators have had to have their own learning curve or their own learning graph during this phase. So what we do at Unacademy, I can tell you what we do at Unacademy. We have educator training programs that we're running constantly. So it's basically how do you engage an audience online? It's very difficult to teach when you can't see a person's face, right? So in an offline scenario, educators get their energy and off of the student's faces, and they're able to tell if the student has comprehended the concept delivered by looking at their faces and their reaction. But it's very hard. To kind of do that in an online setting. So there's been a complete change in the way they've had to deliver their lectures. So we keep training educators on how to engage students. We keep training educators on how to keep improving and updating their content. They've all had to become PowerPoint experts overnight to be able to deliver their content digitally. So there are a lot of checks and balances, and of course then you have lots of AI which is live monitoring. The quality of the content, the pace of the content, the engagement of the audience, which kind of gives educators feedback that here is where you scored well, here is where you didn't score well. So perhaps you improve it in the next time round. So there is a combination of AI as well as human intervention, which is required to keep the quality of education up in a digital setting.
Sure. So can I add one line here? So there is a report, Ankita very well said. There is a report by UNESCO which says that if we improve the quality and reach of education, the country's GDP will grow by 23% in the next 40 years. And this will be one of the biggest boon for the fourth industrial revolution. So I think both quality and reach makes a lot of difference for a country like India. So this number 23% is a very big number for us.
True. And I think EdTech actually has the ability to catapult the people who are traditionally left out of good quality education system to bring them at par with good teachers, like Ankita had mentioned. We've got another audience asking, how do organizations deal with threat of data security? Digital always comes with the threat of data security, privacy, otherwise you have especially a lot of kids who are getting access to all sorts of uncontrolled material, uncontrolled screen time as well. And I think that's the option that we have. Parents have been averse to increasing screen time. How do you really take care of both these issues?
Let me take that, Suchindra. I think fundamentally, grounds up, a company like Dell understands that this is a very, very important need and a very important thing to be worked on. So the safety and security is by design grounds up built in the device itself. Necessary content filtering and blocking of certain desired data and things like that are by design being built for this kind of an usage model. That is first. Then it extends up to the possible ransom attack and various cyber threats that we are seeing. So we are making sure that we put that wrapper of that software with VMware Carbon Black. The device itself will become fully secure. No matter number of VPNs that you connect to or any other internet that you connect to, all that is taken care of. When data fundamentally starts moving, it is important to not just protect that data, prevent it from loss. At the same time, we should also ensure that the data is not being stolen. All of these three things becomes critical as part of securing and protecting the data. Again, Dell brings in those software recovery tools to ensure that your data is foolproof, safe, and it is not lost even when it is moving. At the same time, you can leverage the power of data anytime, anywhere by keeping multiple copies and snapshots and stuff like that. So it's a continuum, and we are working and investing in this space in big time, and we have some world-class technology tools that we can bring in to address the needs today.
Sure, thanks. So we are pretty much close. Just take one question from the audience. There's a question that says, how do we solve for the problem of shared devices for younger students and lower income families? Because there are lack of devices for personal use. And this is a very valid point. This is something that we did a survey as EY for 35,000 students, and we realized this was a major issue. 3 school-going kids or college-going kids, and you have only one device. How do you do this? So before I move to the audience, I think I'll just give one example. We've seen this happening in Gujarat, for example, where teachers, instead of just synchronous learning, and this is for primary school, they're actually, creating quick small modules on WhatsApp, pushing it out to the, students so that they can learn it on their own time. And, then there's a physical interface where the teacher visits them once in a week and sort of shares and takes any problems because of asynchronous learning. Anything that you've seen elsewhere, Ankita, Dr. Nagpal, Venkat, or Sunil, that we could take? And we've got only 1 minute to go. So.
I think Suchindra rightly pointed out. I think till we get to a stage where the households are able to afford more devices amongst the students, and obviously if corporate comes in and starts sponsoring, it will be interesting to see that that will have far-reaching effects. Asynchronous learning is the way to go till the time we are able to solve for multiple devices in the house. So while Unacademy is a live learning platform, but we also have content available, which can be viewed asynchronously later at a later stage. That's the honest answer at this point.
Sure. So thanks for being IMIT, which have done a wonderful job to get this panel together and get an exciting audience together. So I'll not, sort of go against what they've been telling me. So thank you, co-panelists, Mr. Khosla, Dr. Nagpal, Ankita, and Venkat. It's been excellent having you here, learning from you and learning from your experiences. And thank you for these audiences. And I would finally want to thank IMI for giving this excellent panel and this excellent opportunity for all of us to share our thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Suchitra. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks, Venkat.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ankita.
So much to all our panelists and our moderator for being here with us today. I would also like to thank our CX partner Zendesk and our cloud partner Amazon Web Services. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have play safe. Bye-bye.